know I shouldn't. God damn it. What the fuck?
There are a couple...
Hello. Welcome to Cracker Barrel. I'm your regional manager.
Very important things I want to talk with you about today. One...
you don't know anything about them, so we'll talk about this instead.
Up on Mike Lindell's cyber...
By the way, that's Mike Huckabee.
Security Symposium investigating election integrity. The other thing I want to talk about is the situation in Afghanistan. It's a horrific military and humanitarian disaster.
Mm-hmm. You mean being there for 20 years?
And it's unfolding so rapidly that by the time you see this...
It's happening so fast you almost forget we've been there for 20 fucking years.
It's likely the situation will already have greatly changed.
Yes. By the time you watch this video, none of what he's saying will make any fucking sense.
And Joe Biden owns it, no matter...
Yes, he does. That's why he said the buck stops with me. That's what he meant.
No matter how much he seeks to blame everyone but himself while pretending to take responsibility.
Well, he does actually have... He doesn't have to take responsibility. He has actual responsibility. That's the difference. You don't actually have to say, I take responsibility technically, when the responsibility, by definition, is yours. Like, you don't have responsibility. For example, you don't trim your own beard, you don't make your own graphics, you didn't lay any of those bricks, and God knows what the fuck happened to your tie. You know what I mean?
Well, first, Lindell's...
By the way, how are the numbers in Arkansas? I notice you guys aren't posting your COVID deaths.
Election Integrity Symposium. Quote, there are so many ways to defeat a legitimate ballot, end quote. That's the first big takeaway from the event.
No, the first big takeaway was that Mike Lindell was attacked by a fucking tangerine. I don't know if you guys, did you not catch that one, kids? Hold on. I have to find that for you. 1 second. A fucking tangerine. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Where is it? Damn you. I'll just look. I'll just do a search. Lindell tangerine. It's funny when you can type that shit in, and it actually comes up with something. The Lindell attack that allegedly happened in South Dakota now involves a tangerine carried by the attacker. It was run by fruiting. Subject, oh wow. This is the subject. This is the guy. Oh wow. Sioux Falls Police. We're looking for help to identify this man. He's suspected of committing assault at a hotel near Russell Street in West Allen last Wednesday. Please call Crime Stoppers. Fucking tangerine. There it is. This guy doesn't have any muscle tone. How the fuck can he break your ribs? Or this other guy was getting a picture with Mike Lindell at the same time. This guy was laughing and looking at his picture, and he had a tangerine in his hand. That's the tangerine. If anyone has seen this man or this tangerine, please contact Crime Stoppers. I'm not kidding. It actually says Crime Stoppers. Should be Citrus Stoppers, but we'll work on that. Fucking hell.
Experts clearly show the combination of factors making election outcomes vulnerable and open to question, potentially leading a targeted candidacy to death by 1,000 cuts.
Well, yeah, that wasn't what was asserted at the thing. The thing that was asserted was a giant hack by China, and every other little thing was just a bunch of bullshit. It kind of actually killed the idea that there should be that it was a lot of different factors, which, you know, would have made this thing last a little bit longer. So I'm kind of happy Mike Lindell had his stupid little gathering, because it kind of shot that in the foot. Have the tangerine.
There ought to be agreement at this point that electronic voting systems are not guaranteed secure.
Well, no, that's why we have paper ballots, and they go into a lockbox. A lockbox?
I don't pretend to be a cyber expert.
You don't even pretend to know which end of the phone to talk into.
But these systems can indeed be connected to the internet and hacked by any geek who knows how to do it.
Well, technically any person who knows how to do it, whether they're geeky or not. I don't give a shit if they go to Comic-Con. If somebody knows how to hack something, they know how to hack something. They don't have to be a geek to do it.
But some people are...
But nice anti-elitism, I guess?
...are very unhappy with Lindell for trying to point this all out.
No, they're very happy with him failing to actually prove it.
Wednesday, after the symposium, Mike Lindell was assaulted.
With a tangerine.
he got punched in the ribs at the
He did not get punched in the fucking ribs.
Close of the day. And on Thursday morning...
Why the swipe graphics? You're going to give... If Mike Lindell is watching this, he's going to get PTSD.
He related...
Why don't you just... If you're going to put in sound effects, why not just, like... Just when you swipe past these, just... Yeah. Ah! Fuck! Oh! God damn it! Was that a... Ow! Shit! Lemons! Oh, it's a tangerine! Oh, fuck! Hold on, let me jump over them. There we go, I'm fine. Ah, there's another tangerine. Oh, that was a kumquat. Fuck that.
Another story of heavy-handed opposition, saying it wasn't just Tina Peters, the county clerk from Mesa County, Colorado, who I talked about last time, who got raided, but also a colleague of hers at his home. What? He was there with his 4 kids when state officials came knocking and then confiscated all his electronics, even the kids' computer games.
Oh, they took the kids' computer games. You mean the ones on his fucking phone?
Though Lindell must now admit that he can't just drop some big bombshell and get Donald Trump reinstated as president. He got
He hasn't done that yet.
Excoriated in the media for even suggesting that.
Well, yeah, you do understand that he should be. That's fucking ridiculous.
He did bring concerned people together on the critical issue of election integrity.
Yeah, he brought them together. You know, like an anti-vaxxer Facebook group brings people together.
So just because voting equipment can be connected to the internet, can we determine that it was?
Yes, and it wasn't.
One whistleblower, anonymous due to fear of retaliation,
or because they're a liar,
brought a photo that was taken at the TCF Center in Detroit, which is Wayne County, Michigan. It's a photo of a computer used to process absentee ballots at a recent local primary election.
A local primary election? A local primary election? You mean not the same machines used for federal elections? Something internally used by the parties? Let me guess. Republican primary?
Election workers had been instructed to keep all devices in the counting facility in the airplane mode. But when the whistleblower turned that off, several internet connections appeared on the screen. Even if this was some internal network, it would still have been vulnerable to other devices.
Yes, the Chinese are very interested in local Republican primaries.
Not being a computer geek myself.
Or not actually knowing how to do anything with a calculator other than make boobs show up.
I can't independently verify this.
You can't verify it at all. And by the way, you have a whole team of people, many of whom obviously do computer shit because they put a little graphic on here and they made that thing work, which is obviously broadcast onto those screens. Those are multiple screens or projected. They do that. So they obviously could go, yeah, I looked at it. Yeah, it's bullshit.
This claim as I'd like to, but it's just one of so many that even if the devices are actually airtight, I don't see how faith in electronic voting can be maintained.
Well, I do. You know how? You put in a paper ballot, and it stores the paper ballot with the vote and in a secure location so that if there's a recount, you can look at the recount. And they've done recounts, and they match up with the actual ballots physically put in. So if China just inserted votes, magically there would be a bunch of votes and no paper. But that never happened. Not once. That would be the big fuck you to Mike Lindell's entire theory.
America as a democratic republic
airtight titties
can't continue this way. Fortunately, some of the experts at this symposium had some pretty good ideas for creating a new and secure system in which people can act.
And for a short, just a little bit of a fee, you know, you just come on. If we can find some way, I got to tell you right now, look, Jerry and I have been working on this machine, this contraption for a little while, and it runs on ordinary tap water.
Actually verify that their vote was counted as intended. This is an issue.
Yeah, with a paper ballot, which goes into a thing, and that's what exists on the Dominion machines. Some of the ASNS machines don't do that. Wonder why.
That should unite both parties.
Yeah, we had more of a paper trail in this election than any in history.
And increasingly,
I finally made Hal giggle. Yes,
actually does. As according to a recent Rasmussen poll, 71% of Republicans want forensic audits, and 55% overall do. Now let's turn to the gut-wrenching news coming out of Afghanistan.
Oh, gut-wrenching. Where 2 million people voted out of 38 million, and yet somehow the government just doesn't feel like it's got the strength to carry on.
It sickens me to think of the magnitude of this disaster. The swift triumph of evil and the Taliban's humiliating mocking of America as
by meeting with Trump last year, you mean?
As they seize our advanced weapons and...
Again, what is the whole... Can we at least... Is there something like a better sound effect? Like, that works for you. You're a Bubba, right? Isn't he... Isn't fucking Huckabee one of these asshole phony hicks? Dude who lives in a gated community, wears a suit every day, who pretends to go fishing.
About to spread radical Islam worldwide from the presidential palace. And yes, the Taliban was speaking to the press while President Biden was hiding out at Camp David.
Was he hiding out, or is he meeting with his advisors via internet, which is what he was actually doing?
The pain that our soldiers must be feeling, men and women who sacrifice so much to help the Afghan people.
Right, but did they work that hard to make sure we stay forever?
So many having lost their limbs, their buddies, and their lives as they watch everything they fought for unravel within just a few days. And the terror of the people of Afghanistan.
And that would have been different 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now? Why wasn't it 5 years ago?
Afghanistan, especially those who helped and trusted us, they were abandoned to
yeah, those aren't those people, by the way.
Face the wrath of a pitiless conqueror.
Yeah, if you're going to show the wrath of a pitiless conqueror, again, the fucking dude in the magic blue who looks like he should be in a Cat Stevens video is not the picture you want to use. Horror, look at this, red state. Horror at the Kabul airport. Yay! Yay! I'm free. This doesn't sell horror at the Kabul airport. Look at this, mixing maroon and baby blue. That's just a mistake, fashion-wise. I'm just saying.
And it's just unimaginable.
Well, it's easily imaginable. Not only is it imaginable, you can clearly see it. And anybody who's ever seen troops of ours leave another country after something like that, you can imagine it.
Some were so desperate to escape, they tried to cling to the sides and the landing gear of an American plane taking off from the Kabul airport.
Yeah, and that was a mistake, and we don't recommend it.
There were reports that at least 3 fell to their deaths from the plane taking off. And of course, as the Taliban took control of Kabul, one of their first orders of business was to release imprisoned al-Qaeda and ISIS terrorists so they could go back to killing and enslaving innocent.
That's weird. Let's see. Let's see if I look at this 1 second. Let's see. Let's do it that year. Let's go back further. That's 20. Let's see. Shut up, let's see. U.S. tries to push around to do it. Trump removes. Let's see. Maybe 2018. Look at that one. Even further back? Is that what happened? Because the big story is that he released the main dude, Baradar. Let's see, 10. Oh, this is close. Let's see. This is just in Yemen, you know, little fun little country. Sandra Lowley, a humanitarian worker, held for about 3 years, and a businessman, Mikhail Gadada, held for 1, were freed on Wednesday, U.S. officials said. The remains of a third U.S. captive, Bilal Fatin, were repatriated as well. Comes after the Houthis reported receiving more than 200 Yemenis from Oman, where many have been stranded for after receiving medical treatment. A much-anticipated swap between Yemen's internationally recognized Saudi-backed government and Houthi rebels expect to take place on Thursday. In a statement, the U.S. State Department welcomed the release of Ms. Lowley and Ms. Gadada and extended its condolences to the family of Mr. Fatin. So we were engaged in that prisoner swap in Yemen. Let's see. Most of these, like I said, most of these stories are about Trump pardoning people because of the timing. Let's see. Claims and ban on women driving. Afghan president staunch opponent of Taliban survives blast. I can go back even further. That was nice. No wonder they think he's destroying the country. In Afghanistan, facts America nuclear deaths are piling up. This is July 23rd. In Afghan attack, facts America. This is during. I don't know who was president in 2020 rather, but we'll find out. With peace talks stalled, the details of intensifying strikes across the country and other toll on victims are increasingly hard to pin down. But one certainty: Afghans are dying. This is 2020. A medical worker treating a patient who was wounded on an airstrike in Herat, Afghanistan on Thursday. Herat, Afghanistan. For a full day after airstrikes on a remote village in western Afghanistan on Wednesday, the only certainty was that people had perished. The most basic facts, who had carried out the strikes and how many Taliban and civilians were killed, were impossible to pin down amid the denials, conflicting statements, and exaggerations. The start of peace talks between the Taliban and the government, delayed by months, the Afghan war has spiraled into a deadlier phase. Even as the United States continued to withdraw its forces, car bombs, roadside bombs, and air strikes wreak carnage across the country, killing dozens of Afghans every day. Gee, and I thought Chicago was worse. But as the war has spread, the exact nature of the attacks and their toll, particularly on civilians, has increasingly grown opaque. The Taliban often flatly deny incidents that kill civilians, even when the bodies are there to be buried. Protest and pressure turns the government's denials of civilian casualties in its operations into investigations that rarely result in follow-through or answers. The U.S. military, after a deal with the Taliban in February that was supposed to produce something resembling a ceasefire between them, has quietly returned to striking Taliban units that it sees as preparing attacks on its Afghan allies, but it no longer officially acknowledges those strikes. This is great. This is all really well done. Yeah.
Men, women, and children. Afghanistan's first female ambassador, Roya Rahmani, tried to reassure American soldiers that their sacrifices were not in vain. She told Fox News, "You made a huge difference in lives of people you haven't met, will never meet." She reminded them that Afghan girls were once banned from going to school or leaving the house without a male escort.
By the way, there are current protests in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and in other areas right now that are surprising everybody.
Sadly, I fear that's going to happen again. Now, she also noted that 70% of the population is under 30, and they've only known life under the protection of the U.S. forces. And that makes it even more tragic to think what might happen to them with the return of the brutal Taliban. It ought to be a chilling lesson to every overprivileged Ivy League, America-hating socialist that if you
or Eric Trump
tear down this country and its institutions, which have given you a level of freedom unprecedented in the history of the world, you may just be shocked at how swiftly things can change for the worse.
Yeah, that's a threat, I guess. It's a dumb threat, but whatever.
If you think you are oppressed in America, try Afghanistan under the Taliban. We already have China and Russia as threats, and now...
Yeah, but, I mean, those are strong leaders, according to Trump. Those are people, you can't argue with that, right? Their leaders are strong.
It appears we're about to have a newly empowered Taliban armed with our weapons that the Biden team didn't think about securing, and they simply...
No, they thought about it. They secured the ones that were important and left the stuff that we don't give a shit about or that hasn't even been serviced behind.
Left behind as if...
But they make good pictures.
They were rusted toys.
They are rusted toys.
Do you still think Trump voters and the weather are our biggest worries?
No. I think climate change is a real problem, and geopolitically, that's part of the reason why things are shifting. You watch the Taliban and Iran and other countries are going to have a hard time as it gets hotter and hotter, more so than we do. So yeah, it's going to affect a lot of things, especially where refugees go and which direction they go from these kind of countries.
Whether you think we should have been in Afghanistan or not, I hope we can agree that this was the wrong way to leave.
No, we can't. There is no right way to leave. Present to me a right way to leave, or shut the fuck up. I'm tired of this. I'm so sick of these assholes. If you're gonna do a segment like this, give me your strategy. Give me a 5-point that somebody can, throw back in your face, but at least have the guts to go, this is what I'd have done. It may not have worked perfectly, but I think you could have done this, 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 and this. They don't. They just go, I don't know, shouldn't we have blown up our shit? We did blow up our shit. Shouldn't we have taken the really good gear? We did take the really good gear. Should we take the military out last instead of first? We did. We are. They were the ones flying the fucking planes.
I'll have more for you on this later in the week as the news develops.
Thank God. Yeah, when you have to change everything you've said.
And I'll have some experts on the show this weekend, so be sure.
Really? Cyber experts?
Sure to tune in.
Can we see them, or are they just hiding their face because of, security?
To that. In the meantime, leave a like and a comment.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just not going to. Banned a Twitch dude earlier. Oh, yeah? Well, that's the thing, Can't Stop Lying. Where is it? Where's the plan? Because if they'd have had it, they'd have used it. Again, I showed you an article earlier in this broadcast where we were blowing up gear so we wouldn't have to leave it behind in 2014. So don't tell me that we all the money that we spent there, they're going to get all that gear. Well, they're not. We flew out the shit we're keeping, and even the Afghan forces took the good airplanes and left with them. And again, if there's a huge, oh my God, the Taliban helicopter brigade is now the most frightening thing in the Middle East. They discovered it like they discovered the fucking longbow after they beat back the Mongols. Get out of here. Oh, God. So, this is just so goddamn embarrassing. And again, he's basically, I'll show you, we'll have some experts and we'll talk later in the week, because I honestly am having a really hard time figuring out why this is wrong. So find me some people, bring them on the show who will agree with me that it's wrong, but actually tell me why I should think that other than Biden. Because for all the, orange man bad, apparently we have Trump derangement syndrome. And we literally started the show off with fucking Mark Levin saying, leadership is about flexibility. And Biden's not backing down from his decision at all. And it's horrible. If Trump had gone, that was the definition of what they thought they got with Trump. He ran on getting out of Afghanistan and never fucking did it. So I'm done pretending that anybody who's talking about this shit has a point. Nobody. Nobody in here gets to, go, I don't like how Biden's doing it. Unless you bring how you would have done it and show it to the world so they can go, well, that wouldn't work, because if you did this, then you do this. Because that's what it requires. Criticizing at this level, because there's a lot of things that Trump did that I criticized that there were very simple solutions to that you could do, and a lot of people presented them, and people would have gone, yeah, that would have fucking worked. That actually would have solved it. But in this case, nobody's even trying. And the only one they seem to be coming up with, from Greg Kelly to Ben Shapiro, is we should have just stayed. Just stay. Just stay. That would have solved it. If we just, what? Mark Levin was literally like 2,500. We just leave him in there forever. Afghanistan is the 51st state. That's the Mark Levin plan. I'm not buying any of that shit. And anybody who's whinging about it should have gone better and we should have been more prepared for how fast it fell apart. We weren't the last 4 years, Trump could have, if he was this magic deal maker and actually could create anything and he's like, I'm the best and I know more about it than the generals do and all that kind of shit, then why in 4 years couldn't they make the Afghan government stand on its own? He had 4 years over the Afghan forces. If he was able to make them stand up and be great, and it was make Afghanistan great again, and he managed to do it, then then why'd they fall in 7 months? Why did extending our stay there 3 months make it worse? I mean, anybody who talks about this stuff on the news or anywhere else is showing their ass. It's fucking embarrassing. Stop. Stop yourself. Think about what you're saying. Because if you're going to bring, if we could, this is a mess. Then explain to me the version of events that isn't a mess. And when you do it, I will show you the same arguments that kept us in here for the last 10 fucking years. Because that's what it is. Every single thing, well, if we'd have just, there was been a thing, and a little longer, and we could have, and that is literally how we stayed in for a decade. No. Fucking no. We can do humanitarian aid and anti-terrorist military strikes like we do in every fucking country where ISIS is in the rest of the world without having a base there and without propping up a government that doesn't give a shit about its own people or is just going to fuck off with all the money we're giving them the second we turn our back. Buzz off with this nonsense. No. And I know there are people in media that will disagree with me. I know there's people in the punditry class that will disagree with me. I know there are people, from CNN and Fox and MSNBC and News, everybody who will go, there should have been there's a conversation, the debate here, Andrea Mitchell, Chuck Todd, all this crap. No. No. I, Hal Sparks, am stating unequivocally that I side with Biden in this decision. I believe it was always going to be shitty. I believe the other presidents avoided it because they knew it was going to be shitty. They were always coming up on a next election, whether it was midterms of their own, and that's why they never acted on it, because it was going to be a fucking clusterfuck. And as soon as Biden got in, he knew it. He knew it was going to suck no matter what. So he started doing it immediately. We're going to be out the first year. We're not going to be dealing with this 6 months from the next election, where we won't go, well, we can't do it now. It's going to look like shit. Pull the Band-Aid off and go. And then start helping the Afghan people evacuate from the Iranian areas and the surrounding territories and wherever they've escaped to. If we can help them and they're worth helping, or they want to go, help those people. Provide them with safe passage someplace else, help them with resettlement, work with the governments of the countries that they're in to make sure that they have the materials to stay alive until they can figure out some sort of agreement with the territories that they're in. And then fucking late night dust-offs of the air bases and the other gear after we've fully been out of the country. And we don't recognize the Taliban as a legit government at all anyways. So we're not going to have an embassy there, and we're not going to let them have the air bases and that kind of shit. If you're going to have Al-Qaeda, you're going to have to walk. So we're going to blow up the runways. You can have all the buildings you want. Buildings have never blown anyone up. Fuck it. But the answer is no. Done. End. Help people in other ways. We are not going to solve this problem with bullets and bayonets. And the graveyard of empires nonsense that everybody's fucking floating because for some reason, every empire that's ever gotten there has walked around fighting for something that was magically there until they found out it wasn't and went, let's get the fuck out of here. This sucks. Is not indicative of the power of Afghanistan. It's a territory, and it's not worth it. And without the use of lithium and batteries, we're not even going to want to be there. And, people will be back to dates and rugs. The whole thing's going to be a poppy industry. Let the opium and problem be China and Russia's again. If they want a part of that, knock yourself the fuck out. Done. I am sick of this wandering bullshit. There is no point where this was going to work. I'm not playing. I'm not arguing this with you. I know he can get the job, but can he do the job? The Taliban are a dog that's been chasing a car forever, and now they've got bit down on the goddamn bumper, and they're like, I don't know how to drive a car. Do you know how to drive a car? Fuck them. And if we can help the women and the vulnerable population of Afghanistan, we absolutely have a moral obligation to try. But that does not mean our soldiers and $48 billion a year to do that internal in country. It just doesn't. And this jackass just trying to find a way, like this jackass, hold on, this jackass, these jackasses, this dumbass, and this moron are all embarrassing themselves. Because they're all going, this is terrible, it's totally terrible, the whole thing's going terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. It was always going to be terrible. Get the fuck out. Back off to where you can do some help and not suffer damage, and start helping the people of Afghanistan like everybody else in the world does through aid and everything else, just like we do with African countries, just like we do with some Middle Eastern countries, just like we have done with China in the past. Like, that's how you do it. So, anyway, sorry about the rant, guys. I just, like, look, I'm sorry, I have to get this goofball off the screen. There you go. My daddy, love me, daddy. Daddy, love me. Why don't you love me, daddy? Do you love me? Are you playing your love games with me? So, anyways, I appreciate you guys. And like, I don't mind being the only version of this perspective. I don't. And if people are like, what the fuck do you know, comic? You don't know shit. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. This is my genuine belief, and I am expressing it to you. Like any other good American who pays attention and gives a goddamn about my people and other people. I'm tired of this. So anyways, but I love you guys, and I love doing this, so I will see you tomorrow at the regular time. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it more than you will ever know. Okay, bye.